This is Straight Talk with an native Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and his sidekick Shanan Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Fulton County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fann, the Preacher Man.
Well, welcome today to Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, around the world with news and information. All right, listen, don't forget to like, subscribe, make comments, and share. You can go out to Straight Talk News at 1362@gmail.com. And if you'd like to be on the program, we'd love to have you on the program here on Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and Shanan E. Jones. Shanan is taking care of business today. You know, we're pastors and ministers, and we do funerals and weddings. So he was unavailable today because he's doing his pastoral duties. But as we're going forth today, we're going to have a great program today. We're going to talk about what's going on in our country today, what's going on in the country of the United States of America, where we live. You know, at one point in 1865 to 1877, there was an era called the era of Reconstruction. And a former president who was assassinated, Abraham Lincoln, who signed the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed the slaves, right? So we all know that. We learn it in school, but there's a lot of stuff that we didn't get in school in terms of the era of Reconstruction. That era was 1865 to 1877. And in that era of time, after Lincoln was assassinated, you had a president who was a Democrat, who was a unionist, but he believed in states' rights. And the Lincoln's Republicans were the one who gave us the 13th, the 14th, and 15th Amendment. That's why many people say we're Lincoln Republicans. But now what we have is a MAGA Republican, which is Donald J. Trump and his allies who are helping to write a new era of a new Reconstruction. They call it Project 2025. And they're enacting a whole new era of Reconstruction. Remember, he said he was going to do away with the Constitution once he got to be president. And brother, he has been enabling to do that and causing these things to happen, going around the laws and changing laws and making laws with his people who are working with him to do these things, to fulfill the mission of the new Reconstruction, which is Project 2025. So today, what we're going to do, we're going to have Ben Marcellus from Mighty Touch, and he's going to have a clip of Senate hearings, Congress hearings of individuals who are enabling Donald J. Trump, to rewrite the Constitution and go around the Constitution. And we know a lot of things that are happening. Now, one thing that I do want to share with you before I bring up Miss C, I want you to know about Plessy versus Ferguson. We know that many of you people know about that, but he was a black man, but yet he had part of black blood. He had black blood in him, but he was part black, part white, and he was sitting in the first car of the train. And then when the conductor found out that he had some black in him, he took him off the first class of the train and made him sit in the back of the train. Well, that's, we talk about the front of the bus, the back of the bus. Some of you remember that. You remember that era. Some of your kids, you don't remember that because you didn't live through that, but some of us lived through that. So we understand that. And how in Louisiana, it was against the law. They made it against the law for blacks and whites to sit together, right? So the Supreme Court at that time agreed with the state of Louisiana. And so that's how we got separate but equal as a part of how segregation came in place. But we're going to be talking more about that as time goes along. But I want you to see that we are in the new era of Project 2025, which is bringing about a new reconstruction of our government and the laws of the land and how we're governed as United States citizens. And whether or not, because the amendment gave us the right to be citizens, the 15th Amendment, citizens, instead of naturally born citizens. But listen, you need to learn what those amendments are, 13, 14, 15 amendments. You need to know them. If you don't know them, you need to get to know them, because those were laws that was enacted by Lincoln Republicans, not the MAGA Republicans that we have now, that's introducing a new reconstruction, a new construction of how we're going to live as American citizens. Well, I'll be back on the other side with Miss C with more information, and then I'll bring up Ben Marsalis and we'll close it out. Well, stay tuned. Don't you go nowhere. Let's catch you on the other side.
Hi, Miss C here with your 3-minute news blast, or more or less. I gotta talk fast. A storm is coming my way. But listen, since the last time we were together, I've been in the hospital, and I want to thank everybody for their prayers, because the Lord has restored me, and here I am to be able to talk to you today. And I'm just so grateful. Thank you so much. Listen, let me tell you about the tidbits of information I got for you. There's going to be a salute to the red, white, and blue, a hometown celebration to be held Friday, July 4th from 5 to 10 p.m. at the downtown East Point Commons. Boys to Men Rites of Passage Summit will be held Wednesday, July 9th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the College Park Arena, 2330 Convention Center Concourse in College Park. This event is free. It's free to attend, and they're inviting all men and ministers. I'm a Father First, and Flipper Temple AME Church presents Rebrand the Man, Reclaiming Our Black Men every Tuesday and Thursday in July from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for ages 17 to 25. Flipper Temple is located at 580 Atlanta Student Movement Boulevard in Atlanta. Call the church at 404-522-5020 for more information. Now listen, if you'd like for me to announce your event, just email it to me at straighttalknews1362@gmail.com. That's straighttalknews1362@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to get it on for you. And listen, be sure to do 4 things before you go. Like us, subscribe to us, leave comments, let us know how we're doing. And the most important thing is to share us. Don't keep Straight Talk News to yourself. Tell everybody about Straight Talk News, okay? And we're going to see you right back here next time. And in the meantime and in between time, may the Lord God bless you real good. Bye now.
Talking to Emile Beauvais. And Emile Beauvais is one of the top people at the Justice Department. He was Donald Trump's personal lawyer, and Emile Beauvais has now been nominated to be on the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, basically one of the top judges in the country. And Emile Beauvais was the subject of a massive whistleblower letter by another top federal prosecutor who said Emile Beauvais told all of the prosecutors, F the judges, F them. But use the curse word. F the judges. Don't follow what they say. Do what the regime says. But here's another question where Senator Welch just says, who won the 2020 election? And watch, Emile Beauvais refuses to answer that question.
Who won the 2020 election for President of the United States?
President Biden was certified as the winner of that election.
So you give the standard answer. You can't say that he won because he got the majority of votes and also got the Electoral College victory?
I think the characterizations that you just made, Senator, are both political, and so I can't address them under the canons, and they're also tied up in ongoing litigation.
Help me understand how it's political to state who got the most votes in any election.
Senator, I'm just trying to be precise. The process by which our country declares the victor in an election is a certification process. President Biden was certified.
Now bring in Democratic Senator Adam Schiff, who then asks the question, cross-examines the crap out of Emile Beauvais. Did you tell your prosecutors who work for you at the Department of Justice that courts need to go F themselves and you should F what the courts say? Watch this.
Turn to the meeting that Mr. Ravani, the whistleblower, has written an extensive complaint about the hearing started with the chairman reading a social media post by the Deputy Attorney General Blanche, who is present today but not under oath, nor is that social media post under oath. So let me ask you, since you are under oath, in the complaint it says, Beauvais stated that DOJ would need to consider telling the courts, fuck you, and ignoring any such court order. Did you say anything of that kind in the meeting?
Senator, I have no recollection of saying anything of that kind. To the extent I
Wouldn't you recall, Mr. Beauvais, if you said or suggested during a meeting with Justice Department lawyers that maybe they should consider telling the court, fuck you? It seems to me that would be something you'd remember, unless that's the kind of thing you say frequently.
Well, I've certainly said things encouraging litigators at the department to fight hard for valid positions that we have to take in defense of our clients.
And have you frequently suggested that they say fuck you and ignore court orders? Is that also something you frequently do, such you might not remember doing it on this occasion?
No. And as I explained, I have never directed.
So did you or did you not make those comments during that meeting?
Which comments, Senator?
You really need me to repeat it? Did you suggest, as Mr. Ruveni wrote, that DOJ would need to consider telling the courts, fuck you, and ignore any such court order?
I did not suggest that there would be any need to consider ignoring court orders. At the point of that meeting, there were no court orders to discuss.
Well, did you suggest telling the courts, fuck you, in any manner?
I don't recall.
You just don't remember that.
Now, that is how it is done right there. Next up, I want to show you Congresswoman Simon. And as a lot of these MAGA Republican witnesses, they start to invoke Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Here's what Congresswoman Simon says. Play this clip.
I want to be clear that 4 out of the 5 of you last year posted on your social media the words of Dr. King. And there are so few folks who actually have studied, who are clear on the theology of freedom of King. Very few of you have read and studied and have sat in Ebenezer Baptist Church. So I would ask you, you keep Dr. King's name out of your mouth. If you, like me and the many scholars who will be watching, studied King, you know that he and the mothers and the fathers of the civil rights movement and of the movement for emancipation not only would be struck by the conversations in this room, but would be shattered by the consequence of lies, of hatred, of abuse of this administration in the name of folks who worked to make this country more free.
All hell broke loose in the House of Representatives and in the Senate as the hearings that were being held by the MAGA Republicans backfired in their face. So they had this witness, Alex Norasta. He's a libertarian at the Cato Institute. And I don't know if the MAGA Republicans in the House thought this guy was going to be a favorable witness to them, but he started talking about how he goes, look, I think we should all be defending Melania Trump here because let's face it, I understand that she probably got here through immigration means that do not meet the smell test, but she's got to be around Donald Trump and not a lot of people can do that. So maybe she should get an award for that. Maybe you have to give her an Einstein visa for being able to tolerate the stench of the orange Mussolini. Watch this guy play this clip.
But I also want to defend Melania real quick. Not everybody could marry Donald Trump, and I think that's quite an achievement. So I think she deserves credit for that. Nobody up here could have done it.
You sure right. I couldn't do it. But anyway.
So good right here. And then Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett sees that Norasta is going to be, I think, a pretty favorable witness here. So I want you to watch as she then basically takes what he says and then she's like, okay, we should talk about Melania and her Einstein visa. Yeah, she was a model, but what type of model was she really when she met Donald Trump at the Kit Kat Club in New York City, which was run by a guy who would link wealthy Manhattan business people to, quote, models from Eastern Europe. Models. Here, play this clip.
And since we're talking about integrity, I'm confused as to why my Republican colleagues aren't talking about the lack of integrity when it comes to the president's family's visas. Let me remind y'all that Melania, the first lady, a model, and when I say model, I'm not talking about Tyra Banks, Cindy Crawford, or Naomi Campbell level, applied for and was given an EB-1 visa. And that stands for is an Einstein visa. Now, y'all that don't know, let me tell you how you receive an Einstein visa. You're supposed to have some sort of significant achievement, like being awarded a Nobel Peace Prize or a Pulitzer, being an Olympic medalist, or having other sustained extraordinary abilities and success in sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. Last time I checked, the First Lady had none of those accolades under her belt. It doesn't take an Einstein to see that the math ain't mathin' here.
Okay. And then the libertarian Alex Nowrasteh was really getting on the nerves of someone like a MAGA Republican Chip Roy. And a guy like a MAGA Republican Chip Roy tries to claim, right, that he's like, he has libertarian views and he's anti-government and anti-establishment. Watch what goes down here. It's unbelievable. Play this clip.
And she's one of dozens, hundreds, thousands of examples of Americans who are dead because of policies that were advocated for by the Biden administration and people parading around as libertarians. Ms. Vaughn.
Parading around as libertarians? What does that mean?
It means exactly what it means, Mr. Nowrasteh. It's my time, not yours.
That's a personal offense.
It is my time, not yours. I don't have any time to listen to libertarian claptrap.
I know you don't have any time to listen.
That is killing Americans, because that's what you're doing, and you're hiding behind
killing
a brand
Americans?
that is resulting in the death of Americans.
That's a heck of a thing to say to somebody, sir. That is totally false, and I take exception to that.
It's true, and everybody in America knows it.
I have not killed anybody, sir, and that is really exceptional.
Ms. Vaughn, but you go talk to Alexa Nungaray and talk about her daughter no longer being with us.
Beneath you as an individual to say that to somebody,
Ms.
sir.
Vaughn.
And I thought one of the powerful things as we move to the Senate as well is you had Democratic Senator Welch talking to Emil Bove. And Emil Bove is one of the top people at the Justice Department. He was Donald Trump's personal lawyer, and Emil Bove has now been nominated to be on the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, basically one of the top judges in the country. And Emil Bove was the subject of a massive whistleblower letter by another top federal prosecutor who said Emil Bove told all of the prosecutors, F the judges, F them. But use the curse word. F the judges. Don't follow what they say. Do what the regime says. But here's another question where Senator Welch just says, who won the 2020 election? And watch, Emil Bove refuses to answer that question.
Who won the 2020 election for president of the United States?
President Biden was certified as the winner of that election.
So you give the standard answer. You can't say that he won because he got the majority of votes and also got the Electoral College victory?
I think the characterizations that you just made, Senator, are both political, and so I can't address them under the canons, and they're also tied up in ongoing litigation.
Help me understand how it's political to state who got the most votes in any election.
Senator, I'm just trying to be precise. The process by which our country declares the victor in an election is a certification process. President Biden was certified.
Now bring in Democratic Senator Adam Schiff, who then asks the question, cross-examines the crap out of Emil Bove. Did you tell your prosecutors who work for you at the Department of Justice that courts need to go F themselves and you should F what the courts say? Watch this.
Turn to the meeting that Mr. Ravaney, the whistleblower, has written an extensive complaint about. The hearing started with the chairman reading.
In Republican area. Total BS. You lied and said hundreds of thousands of ballots were mishandled. Zero evidence. You claimed fake ballots were snuck into batches before they were counted. Come on. You repeated these lies again and again, and you've said even recently, quote, I am the duly elected governor. They just stole it, unquote. Give me a break. Ms. Lake, your new role requires you to tell the truth. For decades, whenever authoritarians and dictators suppress the people and claim victory in fraudulent elections, Voice of America countered those lies. I can't imagine how people fighting for democracy today and around the world can trust someone who has so shamelessly lied about her own election.
Will the gentleman yield to the
Miss
question?
Lake, no, I will not.
And he goes on. Let's watch it. Play this clip.
How
Let me
you
one
treat
final
other
question.
people that
The
are being
gentlelady
questioned.
will suspend, please. Go ahead. You may
You
continue.
lost for governor in 2022 to Katie Hobbs. You lost even worse to Ruben Gallego for Senate in 2024. Well, Arizona has another election for governor next year. Will you do us all a favor and run it back and run for governor again? I yield.
The gentlelady,
No more questions.
Can I respond
may
to
respond.
some of that? Because that was complete insanity. I wish I could yield back the last 5 minutes of my life, actually. And I want to apologize to the people of Arizona that we have somebody who's representing the folks in one of our great parts of the valley that doesn't care about the integrity of our elections.
And he goes on. Let's watch it. Play this clip.
You were formally sanctioned by the court. Miss Lake, you have been sanctioned twice for providing false information to courts. Isn't that true? Yes or no?
I was brave enough to fight our shoddy elections, and the courts have not caught up.
That was a yes or no. I guess the answer is no. Let me reclaim my time. You have been sanctioned by both the United States District Court and the Arizona Supreme Court for, quote, making false factual statements to the court. And you were sued for defamation by a Republican election official, Stephen Richer. He and his family were subjected to harassment and even death threats because of those lies. You told your supporters, Richer and fellow Republican County Supervisor Bill Gates, that they, quote, sabotaged Election Day. You accused them of deliberately printing the wrong image on ballots to jam tabulators and injecting hundreds of thousands of phony ballots. What a joke.
And then Carrie Lake, as she starts getting more and more defensive, she holds up a photo of her cult leader, Donald Trump, and she's like, look at him. Look at his face. Look at this man. Look at this. Look at him. Do we all see him? How freaking weird is this? Play this clip.
But most of all, what we reviewed was an executive order, March 14th, by the man who's in charge of the executive branch.
I want to know.
His name is Donald Trump.
Do you have a record that you can produce? The chairman said you had a bunch of things with you. Do you have a record of what you reviewed and who you reviewed to?
We reviewed the statute.
Do you have a record? Yes or no?
We have the statute. And
Do you
we
have a
reviewed
record?
The statute. Yeah, we can pull that statute for
If you have it, not the statute, the record of individuals that you reviewed, interviewed, or talked to before you committed your actions of dismantling.
I talked to a lot of people at the agency.
Do you have a record of that?
You could go back and look at emails.
Do you have a record?
Do you want me to pull emails?
I want you to show the record of what you did, Miss Lake.
Well, you can
Don't
take a
just
look
give
at
me
it.
something that's not verified. Tell me, show me the record, because that's what I hear oftentimes in the business. You have to have a record. Show me the record that you did what you did. That's all.
Then you had Pam Bondi, the attorney general. She was being asked questions about Trump's meme coin dinner. And I want you to watch all of the gaslighting here. Let me show it to you here. Play this clip.
This solicitation of investments in his personal product, his meme coin, led to many people who were coming from foreign countries attending that dinner. Don't you think the American people have a right to know? And you said yourself, you're very concerned about foreign influence on our government.
Senator, it is wildly offensive that you would accuse President Trump of not protecting American interests in our country when he is the president that has shut down our borders, unlike Joe Biden. President Trump has done everything to make America safe. And you asked me the question, and keep America safe.
Do you
and
know?
You're trying to play a gotcha question at a budget hearing when you have murders left and right in your state, violent crimes, and we are doing everything we can to help your liberal state. Whether you're liberal or not, we're going to do everything we can to help the citizens of your state. And you're trying to avoid that because you're trying to play a gotcha question with the president of the United States, and it's not going to work. We're here to talk about our
Mr.
budget
Chairman.
for public safety.
I do believe that as the leader of the Department of Justice, you should be concerned about foreign influence. There was obviously a lot of foreign influence and individuals who said they were there for that reason.
And then Senator Merkley says, so are you going to recommend any ethics guidelines to make sure that foreign influence doesn't find its way into the doors of the White House? More gaslighting from here. Here, play this clip.
Department of Justice. Volumes that you won't answer the question about transparency when the president is asking people to invest in his company and his products, and that foreigners are attending these events. I think transparency would be appropriate. Are you going to recommend any ethics guidelines to make sure that foreign influence does not find its way in through the doors of the White House?
How do you characterize foreigners, the illegal aliens that have flowed into our country? Is that who you're talking about? You don't want to talk about them. You don't want to talk about the crime that has gone rampant throughout this country and your state.
She's then asked by Senator Murray, so will you not allow the conduct by Todd Blanche and Emile Bove to tell prosecutors at the DOJ to go F the federal courts, or don't effing follow what the courts say, or F them? Because that seems to be unlawful if they're doing that. Do you not support that, or do you support that? Here, play this clip.
I just want you to confirm for this, you will not allow conduct like that at the DOJ. Yes or no?
I will always support and defend Emil Bove, and I will defend Todd Blanche. They are two of the finest people I know, and two of the
asking about the
people
conduct.
I know.
And then Congress members.
Information, wasn't it? Mr. Bove, who was an attorney for Mr. Trump doing those 34 indictments he got, okay, and Ms. Bundy. They're all partners. They're all in it together. And of course, here we go. He couldn't even remember the question, and he's a lawyer. I had to go back and ask Mr. Shipton, what was the question again? I mean, come on, guys. This is real life, everyday stuff that we're going through right now. And you see how Mrs. Bundy responded to the other senator who's trying to get her to say, is it lawful for him to be taking monies from these people, individuals who are trying to buy influence in the United States of America, these foreign countries? Whoa, boy. I mean, it was a lot said on this. Hey, listen, don't forget Miss Lake and her, saying that she lost, she didn't lose her election. She is really the governor of Arizona. Lord have mercy. Look like that's a play too out of 2025 book. But thank you so much for joining us today. So much information, so much for us to be looking at and dealing with. Brothers and sisters, listen, this ain't nothing but Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and Shanan E. Jones. And we'll see you next week right here on Straight Talk. And keep those comments coming. Keep on liking and subscribing, making comments, sharing on our YouTube channel. Hey, listen, and if you have news and information you want to send it to Miss C at Straight Talk News 1362 at gmail.com. Or if you'd like to be a guest, we'd love to have you as a guest of Straight Talk. On the phone was talking to me too. Well, until next week, this ain't been nothing but Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, around the world with news and information. It ain't been nothing but what? Straight Talk.
Want to be a guest on Straight Talk? Email Greg Fann at FANN922@Comcast.net or call 404-308-0795. Join us again for another episode of Straight Talk with Shanan Jones and Greg Fann, the Preacher Man.